Adam, tell me this. Where are we in this process right now with Aaron?
Well, I don't believe that we're close to the Jets and Packers reaching agreement on compensation right now. But, Molly, that could change so quickly. And there's no reason that these two sides couldn't get a deal done. We heard Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show yesterday imploring the Packers to do the right thing. And that's the question. What obligation, what loyalty do they have to a player who now wants to play for the Jets, who wants to move on, who wants to go elsewhere? He obviously wants to preserve as many of the Jets' assets as they can have, being that he plans to play quarterback for them. He doesn't want to see the Jets give away a first-round draft pick or more compensation. He wants the Jets to hold on to those picks so that his team, his new team, can have the best players for him if and when he does get there, which is the expectation. So this is the type of thing that could heat up just like that, but it also could linger for a week or even a month. There's no motivation for the Packers to have to move any quicker than they do, and so we will continue to await. But Aaron Rodgers has made it very clear. He wants to play in New York. The two sides are divorcing. His time in Green Bay is over. Now the question is, how soon can Green Bay and the New York Jets work out a trade agreement?
If I remember correctly, Adam Schefter, thank you for being on the show this morning, sir. If I remember correctly, I heard Aaron Rodgers say that he was contemplating retirement until he learned that the Green Bay Packers probably wanted to part ways with him. Okay, so that means this man was actually going to choose to retire rather than return to the Green Bay Packers. It's clear that a divorce is imminent. We all understand that. Could you crystallize for us the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? Because I think there needs to be a level of understanding as to what the holdup is. Aaron Rodgers wants out. They want him out. We know they got to get as much compensation as they possibly can get in order to pull this off. But I do think that because of the relationship that exists between the two, there are people out there thinking that Green Bay is holding up the process on purpose. What can you tell us, the audience, about Aaron Rodgers' relationship with the Green Bay Packers?
Listen, he did a very good job of explaining it all from his perspective yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. But to try to fill in some of the blanks and add a little bit of color, essentially from the moment they drafted Jordan Love to be his successor, you could see that that relationship went a different direction. He himself admits that. And it's one of these situations that's not unlike a couple that you see married that goes through ups and downs. And there was a down period there 2 years ago where he clearly spent the offseason trying to get out. And it surfaced on draft day that he wanted to move on. And there were questions then about whether he would continue his career in Green Bay all the way up until the weekend that he actually did show up and did return to Green Bay. The problems went away for a little while. He was a back-to-back two-time MVP during the pandemic, during the COVID era, and he obviously showed he could still play. I think it surprised Green Bay because they didn't realize he was going to play at that level when they drafted Jordan Love. When you draft someone's successor, the clock starts running. And the clock started running on his time in Green Bay and their relationship. And he held that as a chip on his shoulder. And there were times where they were happy the last couple of years because he played so well, because they were winning, because they had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, though they didn't capitalize on that. And so Aaron Rodgers, according to him yesterday, said he was planning on retiring after this season. He was 90% sure that was going to happen. And when we saw him walk off the field after that Sunday night loss against the Detroit Lions in the regular season finale, and we saw Jameson Williams, the Lions wide receiver, come over and ask for his jersey, and him saying, no, I'm going to keep this one, that's because he was planning to walk away from the game. But after that happened, he did hear the idea that the Packers were interested and open in trading him. He did hear that the Packers had other discussions. And we've heard Aaron Rodgers talk about the way that he felt the Packers were treating other players in that organization. And now he doesn't want to be treated that way. He wants to dictate where he goes, how much his former team gives up for him. The Packers are running a business, a football team. They want to extract maximum value, fair value from the New York Jets for arguably, as he himself describes, the greatest player in Packers franchise history. And so that really is it, Stephen A. There's been a relationship here for a couple of years that has had ups and downs, has been strained. Obviously, it goes back, I think, a lot to the Jordan Love pick. And they've been waiting to divorce. They are divorcing, and the Jets are in the middle of that divorce right now.
What is the last question, real quick answer here, Adam? What is the definition of fair compensation for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, it depends if you're asking the Green Bay Packers or the New York Jets. If you're asking the Green Bay Packers, I think it would include a first-round draft pick. If you're asking the New York Jets, it would not. So it's up to them to figure out what's fair and what's not.
What do you think? I mean, obviously you asked fair compensation. What do you think the Packers should demand in return?
Absolutely a first-round pick. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the game still. You know, at age, at least one. As far as I'm concerned, if you listen, let me call this what it is, and I got my man Tedy and Keyshawn here. Let me be very, very clear. If you had to give up 2 first-round picks to get Aaron Rodgers, I think you should do it if you're the New York Jets. I will remind everybody, this is not just about the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, okay? All right, it's not just about that. It's about the perpetual futility of the New York Jets. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1968. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1968. They've been to 4 conference championship games since that time, 82 with Gastineau and Klecko and them, and 98, I think, with Parcells and my man right there, Key in the house. And then you had Rex Ryan, 2009, 2010, and that's about it. By the way, since 2010, not only have they not been in the Super Bowl, obviously, since then, they ain't been in the playoffs. New York Jets haven't been in the playoffs since 2010. So when you are that futile, when you are that inept, when you are that moribund as a franchise for years, for decades, I mean, spanning over 50 years, desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, this isn't a Deshaun Watson situation. The only reason I bring him up is because last time the Cleveland Browns won was when Jim Brown was playing, which is why they gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And if you're the New York Jets, you got Aaron Rodgers, who's a bad brother, still saying, I want out. I want to be in New York with the Jets. By the way, these are some of the people I would mind having. I'm not, according to Aaron Rodgers, I'm not mandating it. I'm not insisting it. But I'd like to have the Mercedes Lewis, 17 years in the league, only a 700-yard season. I'd like to have Randall Cobb, only 1,000-yard season in 12 years. I'd like to have Alan Lazard, his first 5 years in the NFL, not one single wide 1,000-yard season. But I'd like to have those guys. And they got him. So it is clear they want him. It is clear he wants to be there. So to me, as far as I'm concerned, if it takes, I would say 1, but if it requires 2 first-round picks, damn it, give it to him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that, Stephen A. I'm sorry. Why would I give you? Well, 1, I got an aging quarterback that can still play, but I also got a quarterback that has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He may retire next year. He wants to play this year for the New York Jets. So why would I give up a first-round pick, let alone 2, to get a guy that may decide to do something different come January 2024? I'm not going to mortgage off that much of my future for Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, as great as he's been, especially that we know, and you know we know, and we know you know, that he does not want to, nor is he going back to Green Bay. You also know that you owe him about $59 million a year cap, and you've already committed to Jordan Love as your quarterback, and you're going to pick up his 5th-year option in May. So now you got about $80 million that'll be tied to that quarterback room with the 3rd-string guy and the 4th-string guy that you're going to have in training camp, along with Aaron Rodgers if you don't move him sooner rather than later. So if I'm the New York Jets, I might give you a 2 and a 3 and maybe a 4, or a 4 and a 5 and a 2, somewhere in the middle rounds. But I'm certainly not giving you 2 first-round picks, nor am I giving you a first-round pick for a guy that you don't want and a guy that don't want to be there. This isn't Matthew Stafford, Stephen A. This isn't Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions, where the Detroit Lions say, we love you so much, we're going to help you get to a landing spot where you can ultimately win a championship. And the Rams say, okay, we got Jared Goff, who can be your quarterback in the next 4 years. Plus, we got a couple first-round picks because you want to do right by the quarterback. This is a totally different situation. In Aaron Rodgers, if this was Aaron Rodgers 6 years ago, yeah, I'd give up 4 first-round picks for him. But this is Aaron Rodgers today.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.